Hello everybody, in this video I will share with you my top 5 tips to integrate your ayahuasca experience. Tip number 1, don't share about your experience in the immediate 2-3 days after drinking the medicine. This is very important because coming out of the experience, we are in this very heart-centered space. We have understood many things which are very difficult to explain, especially to people who haven't had the experience. And it's very important to take this time for ourselves, also to allow the insight to unfold. Should we share right away with our friends and family whom we have probably told that we're going to be drinking ayahuasca, and then they send us a bunch of messages and calls, hey, how was it? Are you alive? What's going on? And they really want to know, and that's fantastic. But really, we need that time for ourselves to make the experience our own. If we were to share with people who especially haven't had the experience of drinking ayahuasca or sacred medicine, we would be sharing from our heart, and then they would be understanding it or trying to understand it with their mind. So what might end up happen is that maybe part of their doubt, part of their fear, part of their lack of clarity comes to us and clouds our experience. So a great phrase you can use is, you can say, I would love to tell you about my experience. I'm still processing it. Give me another 2-3 days and I'm really looking forward to talking to you about it. But make sure you take that time for yourself to make it your own and sit with the experience yourself. Now, while it is important to keep your experience to yourself, there are situations where you are definitely encouraged to speak to someone as soon as your experience has finished. In cases where you're not quite sure what to make of the experience, or maybe you're left with even more questions, or maybe you experience lots of darkness, this might create confusion. And staying and sitting with your confusion, well, it's not really going to do any good. Maybe you're even left scared after your experience. So it's very important, should that be the case, to speak to someone right away. And someone who has a lot of experience with the medicine, who has perhaps supported people. It can be either a facilitator at a retreat or an integration specialist, but this is the only situation where you are encouraged to share about your experience, where you've had maybe like a very, very challenging and difficult experience which has left you more confused and with more questions than clarity. Tip number 2, journal, journal, journal. As soon as you're done with your ceremony in the very morning, start writing and write about your experience in as much detail as possible. I even encourage people to take notes in the middle of the ceremony. Obviously, there is a moment where it's quite challenging to write, but as soon as you're able to write everything down. It's a lot of information that comes through, and even in the moment, you might feel that I could never unknow this, or I could never unsee this, because I feel it in this such deep sense of knowledge and knowing. Write it down, because with time it goes away. It's just a lot of information. What you want to do is, as soon as an important insight, an important idea comes that you can write down, make a note. If something important comes, so that you don't have to remember it, you make a note so that you don't have to remember it, and then you can keep further exploring. If you're in a moment where an important insight, idea, realization comes, but you're not able to write it down, don't worry about it. Let it go, and if it was important, it'll come back. Don't spend time trying to remember it, because you're going to stay with this one insight and you're going to limit yourself to whatever else might be coming your way. So after your experience, journal in as much detail as possible. If you can write some stuff during the ceremony, do so, but immediately after, make sure to write. And there is no piece of detail, there's no piece of information which is not important. In as much detail as possible, write everything down. And also Journal in the next 2-3 days after the ceremony as insights keep unfolding. Tip number 3, spend time in nature. It's very important to make time for yourself after a ceremony, and the best way to ground, to feel in connection with life that surrounds us is to spend time in nature. Go for long walks, go for a hike, go camping, or maybe rent a place in the mountains or somewhere where you just be able to relax, enjoy yourself. Give yourself the time to process your experience and everything that happened without having to rush back into work, without having to rush back into all the responsibilities and obligations that we have in life. It's a very special experience. It's a very sacred experience. It's a gift for life that we give ourselves when we go and drink sacred medicine. So treat it with the due respect, and also give yourself that time and that space and that opportunity to enjoy the moment and have a moment just for yourself. Tip number 4, find support. We can receive a lot of information, a lot of insight, a lot of clarity of what we might have to do, what we might have to stop doing, projects we want to invest time and energy in. And maybe we might see the destination where we might want to go, but maybe we don't have the tools to get there. So it's very important to find support. It's very important to work with someone who has walked this path, who knows the way, who can show you the way. So, and also it is an act of maturity, spiritual maturity, when we're able to say, I need help. I don't know the answer to this. I don't know how to go ahead. I need help. So it's not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of maturity and responsibility and humility to acknowledge your limits, to acknowledge that you need some help. And that's absolutely fine. So if you're able to work with someone who has experience in this world, who has experience and skill in navigating their own inner world, and ideally help others navigate theirs, that can make a huge difference. Another situation where support might be vital is following a retreat or a ceremony. Maybe many doors open that trigger different emotional processes. Maybe we remember past events that we were unconscious of, and as a result there's lots of emotions. Maybe there's some trauma that's activated or opened as it's ready for healing during the ceremony, but we might not have the skill of navigating our inner world to be able to process that, to deal with that. So that's another moment where support with someone who knows what you're going through, who understands your experience, that can support you, is vital. Tip number 5, find a supportive community. Many of us who go to drink medicine for the first time are new to this world. Maybe we have a friend or two that know about it or that have participated in a ceremony, but our wider community does not participate in this world, and that's absolutely fine. However, when we come back from a retreat or a ceremony, it's very important to be able to connect with people who understand your experience, who understand this process of having this honest look at yourself, confronting whatever might come up and all the challenges that come up with it. We might expect this understanding and compassion and empathy from our community, but it might not be a realistic expectation because maybe they don't have the thing that we want from them. They're not able to give us the thing that we need because they don't have it for themselves. And that's fine. Everybody has their own path in their own time. But this is where a supportive community comes as a very, very vital point. These are people that can validate our experience, they can understand our experience, they can say, I understand from the position of knowing, from the position of them having experienced this medicine. Personally, I have learned at least as much from the people that I have met at retreats and ceremonies as I have learned from the medicine. So at Colibri Garden, something that we do on a monthly basis is we organize a sacred medicine integration circle where all of us who have been to a ceremony can come together, openly share about what's going on in our life, what's our process, what are we currently experiencing, and connect with like-minded people. Not only within the integration circle, but this is a place where you can go meet people who are on your same wavelength, and then maybe, you know, like you become friends with some of them, but you start building a community of people around you who understand this new path that you're on, who understand these processes that you're going through, and then little by little you start growing your new spiritual family. Wherever you are in the world, have a look around. Is there a psychedelic integration community circle in your area? And if not, there are many online resources that that you could tap into. You could do one-on-one integration, as well as being part of a group where you can share your experience, hear other people's experience, and connect with others. Thank you for joining us in this video series, and I hope that you have found useful information that will serve you on this path that you're on. If you have already communed with the medicine, I hope this gives you further insight and helps you with your oncoming work, be it in the ceremony of everyday life or in a sacred medicine ceremony. And if you are new to this world, or you're considering participating in a ceremony, I hope that this information managed to resolve some doubts and answer some questions that you had. In either case, I'd like to congratulate you for answering the call of the medicine. The very fact that you watched this series, that you're thinking about ayahuasca, that you're doing research on this topic, this is the call, and sooner or later the medicine will come in the right moment. I hope that all your prayers come true, that you have lots of joy, lots of peace, lots of happiness and abundance in all areas of life, and that you manage to plant a beautiful garden of your life that you don't need to take a holiday from, and that whatever might happen, you can handle it and stay in your center. If you'd like to find more about Colibri Garden and the work we do here in Colombia, visit our website at colibrigarden.com, and I'd be very happy to hear from you and connect. Bye-bye.